everybody, it's Thursday, it's Lit Soc, and it's the week before the exam, so we're doing looking at comfort reading this week, and the sorts of things that we might go back to, or even maybe newly explore, to get us through a stressful period, to help us sleep, possibly to expand our minds when we're thinking about a load of facts and figures, and even if it's Shakespeare, give us a bit of a difference from Shakespeare as well. So first of all, before we do anything, I'd like to say thank you to Emily, who has been a really loyal member of Lit Soc for the last 3 years, and we're going to miss you a lot. So we made you a card.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, I couldn't get Paddington on it because it just wouldn't work. But we've got Pooh and Piglet and Off into the Sunset, and we'll be thinking of you, and we hope you'll keep up and watch and. Yeah. But thank you for all your input and your classical myths interests, and
definitely.
And we wish you all the very best for the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And so we're going to kick off with Mr. Humphreys.
Yes.
So you're going to stay there, or are you going to come into the chair?
I'll stay here.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah. So actually, I put this down. Right. So, what's better book to for a comfort read than The Comfort Book by Matt Haig? Now, Matt Haig, I have talked about him before, I know, but this is his latest, and it's basically he is my go-to author for anything. If I need to be cheered up, or I need some reassurance, or things getting on top of me, or I feel a bit miserable about the state of the world, or anything like that, Matt Haig is a very good go-to person. And I'll read you an example why. So this book, it's sort of it's a bit like one of his other books he wrote called Notes from the Nearest Planet, which is about dealing with anxiety.
That's really good, isn't it? Yeah.
So it's essentially he's just done little chapteroids with. They all seem like, at first glance, they might seem like common sense, but actually they're very wise and profound. So here's one, and it's called A Few Don'ts. Don't envy things you wouldn't actually want. Don't absorb criticism from people you wouldn't go to for advice. Don't fear missing parties you would probably want to leave. Don't worry about fitting in. Be your own tribe. Don't argue with people who will never understand you. Don't believe anyone has it all figured out. Don't imagine there is an amount of money or success or fame that can insulate you from pain. Don't think there is a type of face or job or relationship that safeguards happiness. Don't say yes to things you wish you had the confidence to say no to. Don't worry if you do. Yeah. So again, it's all very common sense, but if you just take, just drill down a bit more. If, for example, don't envy things you wouldn't actually want. I think we all sort of are guilty of saying, I wish I could have had this, I wish I had that. But actually, do you really want it? Would it actually make your life better if you did have an extra £100,000, or you did have that new bike, and don't absorb criticism people you wouldn't go to for advice? It doesn't matter what you think of them or they view, because it's not someone who you would trust, confide in.
Trust, yeah.
Exactly. So it's sort of like reassurance, and he writes great fiction and great non-fiction. This is a non-fiction example. Fiction example is a Midnight Library. We've got a nice quote from Midnight Library up on the top floor, and obviously he's written for children, he's written for adults. I have gone on about him before, but he is such a very good author.
He's been there, hasn't he?
He has.
He's not had an easy.
No, he hasn't. He's been to some very dark places.
Yeah.
But he's come through the other side. And his mantra is that life is always worth it, well, no matter what. So you could do worse than check out this if you need some instant pick-me-up, but also check out his books in general.
As you've got Humans on.
Yeah, we also got the Humans. This is a good one too. I've talked about it before, but it's about the celebrating the foibles of being human and all our imperfections. Because obviously we are quite a ridiculous species sometimes, but actually there's quite a lot to be thankful of and grateful for the human race as well. So there we go.
Absolutely.
Okay, and I have to make my exit now, I'm afraid. So apologies, everyone.
We hope the electrics are all right.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
And I shall see you all later.
See you all soon. Emily, do you want to go next?
Yes.
Yes. Come on.
Gonna go in the big chair.
You're going to go in the big chair? I think so. Yes. I'll sit in Mr. Humphreys' chair.
So, I'm going to start off with Punching the Air, which I read this time last year, and I love books in verse, and I love reading poems, and especially Punching the Air, Flamingo Boy, and other books. They're just so nice to read. The format, how it's just not like a normal book, and it just flows really nicely when I read it. last year when I read it, it's a really quick read for me, and I was quite sick at the time. So I remember it bringing me loads of comfort when I was just in bed and I wasn't able to go skiing, as I was on the one ski trip of the year, not the year. But yeah, it was. I sometimes I pick this up and read it again and again and again, because you can just read specific parts that you want, because they're kind of like sorted into chapters or like poems, verses that you want to read, and it's kind of heart. It's not really heartwarming. It's more of like a story. I don't remember like the ending. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
It was just so different to what I imagined, but so like how the world is, and it doesn't sugarcoat anything. And I just thought that was just really nice to read and not have anything fake, thrown in my face. But then on the other hand, I also love Flamingo Boy, which I read quite a few years back, but it never leaves my mind because one, I have a thing for carousels. I just love carousels. Whenever I go on one, I normally go on them at night. So we went to Paris in the summer, and I went on the carousel and during Christmas, and they just filled me up with joy, from reading the books and everything, watching TV shows when I was younger. And this book, having like a carousel in the centre of it, that just brought me back to how much I loved them. And it's just a really nice childhood book that I read. And it's like, it says on the front, it's the people who don't fit in who change the world. And it's a nice read for me because it's not too long, the sizing's good. And it was just so nice to be reminded from like flamingos. I love flamingos and I love carousels, and what more could I want?
Oh, absolutely, it's a really good combination there. Yeah. He's such a good writer as well, isn't he?
Yeah, I had so many Michael Moore books to choose from, but I just felt like this stuck with me ever since I was younger.
Great, lovely. Thank you very much. Okay. Ella, okay, yours.
That's nice.
It's lovely to curl up in.
So I don't really have like a comfort book, but I have like whenever I want to read a nice book, I always choose a murder mystery, which I feel like is really strange. But murder mysteries, I feel like after I've done revision or something and I just want to have a break, I'll go and read a murder mystery book, and then when I have my dreams I can think about all the different
Murdered.
Yeah, the different ways.
Yeah.
It's just I just look forward to, and I'll look forward the whole day to reading it. So if I'm on holiday, I'll spend my time reading a murder mystery book.
I
think a lot of people do.
A lot of people do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's a really nice book to read because it's not. It's also something that you can't really imagine being a normal day. So
It's like puzzle solving, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, all murder mysteries, you can't get one the same. So you're always on the edges.
Yes, because
Yeah.
there's always going to be a different solution, isn't there? And as Emily says, it doesn't matter how many you read, they're always slightly different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one is Girl in the Window.
Yeah. So
And you've not read it already?
No.
But you
I've
think
read
you
that
might.
yeah, I think it looks really good.
Yeah? Miss Rio, you recommend
It's
it?
good, yeah. I would recommend it.
Yeah.
It's not a murder mystery, but it is a mystery. I'll say that. So it's not like a whodunit kind
Mhm.
of. But yeah, there's a lot of things that you have to work out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love murder mysteries, or mysteries. They turn out to be one mystery that you've started reading, and it just turns into a web of a whole
Mhm.
other
Things
lots
open
more.
up, yeah.
And you don't know what you're trying to solve anymore, because you just start one thing, and it's whoa, and then you just can't put the book down. I quite like those.
Yeah. I started a book last weekend and finished it really quickly, and it was a guy who'd been washed up on an island in Scotland, so it's Lewis, and he's got no memory whatsoever. So most of the book is him trying to find. He knows things. He knows things like he can sail a boat and he can drive a car, but he just can't
Doesn't know
remember
how.
his name. He doesn't know how he knows these things,
Mm.
and it's sort of unravelling what's going around him, as well as why he's actually been on Lewis. So it was really compelling. I just had to finish it.
I have to know
Yeah,
who
had
he
to
is.
know,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
It's
yeah.
not the kind of book that you can put off. You can't and you can't move on to another book in the same.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You have to finish it.
Yeah, that's the problem when I was reading True Devious. I hate it when they finish to be continued. That's what happened twice. So I had to read all 3.
Yeah,
that was the 4th. I
not so
can't do
good.
it again.
Mm.
But it was so good and like so gripping that it gave me nightmares, but it was worth it. Like I knew what happened. It was really dark, but
I read them
had
as they
to
were
know.
coming out though. So I read the first one, and then the next one didn't come out for about 2 years. And I was reading it. I was like, "Who's that? What was the mystery
You've got to
again?"
remember it, yes.
So
Yeah.
you did it the right way.
Yeah.
I think it was kind of annoying having to do it that way around. But yeah, they are quite dark.
They are really dark. You just can't put them down.
But
you
they were
need to
very
know.
gripping. Yeah, you
You need
were
to know how
right.
it finishes.
They were good.
It's a
You
bit
might
like Philip
them.
Pullman's new set. We're waiting for the 3rd one, aren't we? And it's just, we're waiting and waiting and waiting, and we think, when's it going to come?
By the time I read that, I'm going to forget.
I forget the
half
rest of
the
it. Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So do you think you're going to read that one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
very.
Yeah.
Her other
Keep
book's
you-
really good as well.
Which one's the other one?
The what is on the back, it's a picture of I Have No Secrets.
Oh.
That is a murder mystery. But yeah, they're both
So
very
good, an author who can even provide you with both a murder
Yeah.
mystery and a murder mystery.
That's what we like.
That's great. Okay, Georgie, do you want to
Yeah.
come and tell us about your favourite read, which we haven't talked about in a while?
Yeah, I read this like I think 3 years ago because I saw it. We have like a family bookshelf,
Oh yeah.
and I saw it and I was just like, "What's that about?" And then I read it,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I was up till 10, and I was really young,
Ooh.
so because I could not put it down, it was really good.
Mm.
And like, it's not really a comfort book, but it's a book that I would pick up if I was bored or didn't have anything to do, and it makes you like think of life from a different perspective, kind of.
Mm. It does, doesn't it? Because Christopher's
Yeah.
quite a different sort of person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that can be quite comforting in a way.
Yes.
'Cause it's kind of
Yeah.
different from what, you know.
Yeah,
your
it's
experience,
different from
so-
a normal, like a stereotypical book.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a real classic now.
Yeah.
So the
And-
curious incident of the dog in the night time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't the dog get stabbed?
Yeah.
I haven't read it. I've heard about it, and then I got really scared. Is it a children's
No, you
book?
should try it, Emily. It's really
No,
it's young adult.
Yep.
It's
It is
adult.
young adult.
Because when I was younger, I thought it was a children's book, and I heard about it, and I was like,
Mm.
I'm not reading about a dog
Doesn't
that gets
sound
stabbed.
very
It's about it's about like a 17-year-old, I think, but it has really like complicated maths in, like there's like some equations
Yes.
in
Yeah. It
And-
really tests you.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't really know any of it, but it's kind of
No,
fun to
but-
see.
There are people you might do when you're older,
Yeah.
mightn't you? And he's very clever at maths, isn't he? And that sort of
Yeah.
thinking. It's all based. The idea is taken from a Shakespeare Sherlock Holmes story. Can you remember what the? Do you know what it is?
Taken home?
Yeah.
No.
The curious incident is that the dog didn't make a sound, even though there was a dog in the story. This is Mr. Humphreys could explain it better than I. But there's this whole story where Holmes has says to Watson, "Oh, the curious incident is that the dog didn't bark." And you
Will
have to
it
think,
die?
well, what?
Wait, it didn't bark when it died, or
It didn't bark when something happened. I can't remember what happened now. Can you remember anything?
No, I
No.
can't remember.
It
His,
Bark.
yeah, his father. Well, I won't spoil it.
no, don't tell him. But
Oh, the father.
No.
But it's the
it's a
title
bit scary, but it's
Yeah.
actually it's a sort of quest, isn't it, for knowledge as
Yeah.
well?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool to see like how someone that's different will like
Mm.
solve those kind of problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
It reminds me, I don't know if I'm right or not, you know, the London Eye mystery?
Remember that? Yeah.
What
Yeah.
time was she saying?
Yeah.
I've not
Yeah.
read that one, but
Yeah.
It's good.
Oh, we
Which is
did
good,
it
isn't it?
in year 7.
Oh,
for
yeah, we did.
drama.
I
For
know
drama,
of it,
didn't
yeah,
you?
it's quite
Yeah.
popular here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to read it, Emily.
Yeah.
And you pick it up when you need something to sort of challenge you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think the author has another book.
He does. I think 2 others. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've read one of the others. Not
I-
read them.
I think I've read the other one. I
Mm.
can't remember much.
And of course, as we talked earlier, it's a play now as well.
Yeah.
And
Maybe they'll make it into a movie. Or maybe I'll keep
I'm
it
quite
the same.
surprised they
I'm amazed they haven't
because it
really.
is so popular.
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Or maybe soon.
Yeah.
I saw do you know? Okay, book talker Jack Edwards.
I know.
Yeah. He
Mhm.
said he said that if he could be anyone, you know the person who plays Elwoods in Legally Blonde.
Yeah.
Got her name?
Yeah.
Yes.
Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah,
Yes.
he said that he'd want her job because imagine how great it would be to choose whatever book you want and turn it into movies.
Yes,
That would be very
That
that
good.
would be
so
very
great.
good.
Job.
Yeah,
What do you
because she does
mean?
produce
Like,
as well.
yeah, because you can imagine being able to choose a book and be like, oh, let's make that into a movie.
Oh,
Because I think we've all read a book that we
Mm.
know isn't a movie or TV show and think, oh, this would be so good, you know, like
Yeah.
you can just see it.
Yeah.
So imagine if you had the money and the power to just do it.
Yeah.
That would be good.
The London Eye Mystery would be a good movie.
It
would
would.
be a really good
it'd be
movie.
so
would.
good.
I know.
Yeah. And so many
Yeah.
schools do it as well. So
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
oh,
Yes.
I'm surprised Murder Most Unladylike isn't a movie or a TV
Murder
show.
I
or
think
something.
is it?
it's not.
It's not. No,
I thought
I'm
it was.
surprised.
Because everyone in year 7 was going like, so
Because it's so popular and I think
going.
it would be really good.
Yeah.
Maybe
It does
not
take a
that.
long time. It takes a long time.
Yeah.
The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry has been out for, more than 10 years, and it's only just making it into the cinema. I mean, it's
Yeah.
been a book for a long, long time, and before that was a radio play, and now
And it
it's
was
a
a popular
movie.
book as well. Like it
Yes,
did really well.
very popular book.
Have you seen
but
the film?
Not yet.
No, it looks a
No.
bit heart-wrenching.
The second book, which is about Queenie,
Mm.
who he's going to see, is even more
it?
heart-wrenching.
I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
I like the second book a lot.
I didn't actually know there was a second.
Yeah, yeah, she's a good writer. So that's lovely. Thanks very much. Miss Rio, do you want to go next?
Yeah. My choice isn't a book specifically. It's kind of more like
A genre.
a type of book.
A
yeah.
type of book. Okay.
But I like really cheesy historical fiction because it's kind of, you can travel back in time.
Yeah.
You can be in a world that's not fantasy, so it's not too, there's not, you don't have to learn about a whole new space. But
Yeah,
you're
I read
still,
Paul Dark when I'm really,
Yeah.
and I've been on holiday
Exactly.
for a couple of weeks. Yeah,
and
The
it's
whole of
just
Paul
like
Dark, yeah.
it's like a whole new place, whole
Mhm.
different from yours, and
Mhm.
lots, and history is just so much drama and lavish costumes and all that kind of stuff. And usually it's Philippa Gregory. I'm sure it's very not historically accurate and all of that kind of stuff. It's I don't think this one is at all actually, but yeah, I just like traveling
I
back in
think
time.
I think the essentials is true, aren't they?
Yeah.
Even if some of the writing isn't, but
I think when you write fiction about anything like that, you're going to have to take a few, liberties with it because there's so much we don't know about, about that.
Well, do you know the story, girls?
The other Belinda. Well, you know Anne Boleyn. Do you know Anne Boleyn?
Yes.
Henry VIII's ill-fated
Second
wife.
yeah.
But he actually had a relationship with her sister beforehand. But she kind of got a bit forgotten to history for a while. And this book came out,
Yeah, we all were reminded.
and everyone went, "Oh yeah!"
And actually had a son with her.
I think that she had a few kids.
Wait, hit her and Henry?
Yeah.
yeah, the son. But I thought
But they
that was
weren't
the-
married, so they
They
were
weren't
illegitimate.
married, you see, it was illegitimate, so
Ooh, drama.
you couldn't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why this is good. It's so much drama.
which is why
History is full of drama.
he because he'd had a son with her, why couldn't he have, sons with the others?
She was pretty unlucky.
Yes.
That's why he was frustrated, and that's why he
Mm.
thought all of his marriages to his other wives were
Therefore,
basically their fault. Because he
Mm.
said, "Well, I've had sons with all these other
Mm.
women. What's wrong with you then? It can't be
Mm.
me." And that's why he
Mm.
was illegally allowed to get divorces and things like that.
Yeah.
Because
Did Anne know about the other?
yes,
Oh.
she was in France, wasn't she,
Yeah.
for some
she
of the
got sent
time?
to France.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a
But then
lot of drama.
she still
Shouldn't
married
he-
him.
Shouldn't he have just married her? Like,
I
because-
don't, because he was already married.
you've been divorced, and then if he married her with the child.
I can't. There was a reason why.
No, because in those days you couldn't legitimise after the fact.
Yeah.
It all changed. That didn't change until 1960s, something like that.
He basically created the idea of divorce.
Yeah.
Divorce didn't really exist before Henry VIII. He had to have a reason for it. But anyway, so much drama, a lot going on, lots of really interesting characters, and the fact that it all happened is quite exciting. And I think, especially Tudor history, we live so nearby, so many of these places, you can actually
Yes.
visit them, and you know, you can kind of
Yeah, it's
put
like
yourself there a little
you
bit.
walk into Home Park or you walk into the palace and you just
you think
they've
you can
been
hardly
there.
believe all of
Yeah.
this stuff that I'm reading about in this book.
yeah.
So yeah, just any sort of cheesy historical fiction I enjoy, but particularly.
I'm going to see a play about her tonight.
Oh, yeah?
Gwendolyn. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I've seen it
What's
before at Glow, but they're doing it at Wimbledon,
Ah.
so I'm going off to see it again with Miss Tupper. Yeah.
She's very interesting. I found out recently that no portraits of Anne Boleyn, they're none of them from the actual time, so we don't know.
Oh, what,
she
even the
looks
most
like.
famous one with
Even
the
the most famous
necklace?
one,
Wow.
Because Henry destroyed every single
Oh, I didn't
image
realise
of her,
that.
yeah. Because she was treasonous, so she wasn't
Yes,
allowed. The
yes.
only image is on a coin or
Mhm.
something like that, and it's tiny. And every single painting since then was based off that one coin. You should look into it; it's really interesting. They're
That
like,
is really interesting.
and then when you look at every single portrait of her, they're all the same because they were all copied off that one, which was from about 200 years later. Actually.
Mm.
So we never know what her
Yeah.
face is a complete mystery.
No.
We'll never know what she actually looks like.
Oh, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, Hilary Mantel was very anti her.
yeah.
But Howard Brenton, who I'm seeing in this play, he wrote this play tonight. It's a very different. It's much more positive portrait.
Mm,
Um,
I guess
she was very much in favour, Anne Boleyn, of the Reformed religion, so
Mhm.
Protestantism, and really, in some ways, she, because of the divorce, also she persuaded Henry that this was the way to go.
Mhm.
So yeah, interesting.
Yeah, she's
And the
very
others as well. Her other books you read?
Yeah, I like the one, do you know anything about the War of the Roses? No, that was Henry Gates.
The roses
Henry the,
against the
Henry VI, yeah.
Yeah, and Henry
Well,
Gates'
right
family.
family.
Yeah, so there was the two separate houses. You had the red rose and the white rose, and then they merged to create the Tudor rose, which is what we see here. But Pope Gregory has a whole series on the War of the Roses as well,
Yeah.
which
Absolute chaos in
it's
England.
just crazy, but it's such a good series. I loved
Have
it.
you been in the place? Isn't there a place, I don't know where it is, where it happened or something, or there's like a whole...
Where one of the battles happened, maybe.
You
There's
can
like-
go and visit Bosworth.
Yeah, it was.
Bosworth is the battle site of where Richard III was defeated by Henry VII, who went on to become Henry VII. There's a little museum and a centre, and then you can start your tour from there, and the battlefield is sort of a bit further, about a mile away. You can walk
Yeah,
there.
I've not been.
It's really good. It's really good. And then you go into the cathedral in Leicester, and Richard III's tomb's there, and of course Henry VII is in Westminster Abbey. But yeah, there's they've done it really well, Leicester Council.
Yeah, there's lots of different
Yeah.
places you can go. 'Cause
Yeah.
I guess there were so many battles, so I don't know. But yeah. Which one do you mean Battle of Bosworth?
I don't know, because mine is like you walk in and then you can go wherever you want, and there's like this giant kind of castle thing. You can walk around the outside and it's great, and there's this guy flying an eagle around the place. And then if you go further out onto the grounds, you can sleep in these little tents overnight.
Oh.
Oh.
And then there's a huge catapult which they put on shows, and they catapult stuff.
Okay.
Where is it? In...
Can you remember where it
I
is?
can't remember.
I have no idea, but when you're walking through to get there, there's like white roses and there's red roses, and then there's like a queue, and you have to use your little chestnut and pass to get in. Or something like that.
I don't know. I've never heard.
You know how you have those unlimited passes and you collect all
Oh,
the
the
badges?
Merlin pass.
The Merlin pass. I have a badge
Oh, so
from
it's
there.
part of that.
Oh,
Oh, I've never
that.
heard. I
So
was
it's
going
like
to say
an
Corfe Castle sounds like that, but there wasn't. I don't think there's any connection.
I don't know, but
I
it
need
was
to look
really
that up.
good.
That sounds
I've been
interesting.
quite a few
Where was
times.
it?
I have no idea. I can remember. It's a very nice area.
How
Was
long?
it here?
How long was the drive?
How far was the how long was the drive? to
Were you a
get
bit
there?
young to
5
remember?
hours?
It's just the problem is that it was a stop to go skiing, so I don't remember because I
So it
was
was
driving.
south because you're driving too far.
But no, but I might have been driving up to go to North England to go dry slopes. But it has really nice restaurants around the area.
I have to look it
Oh,
up.
okay.
It sounds
I
interesting.
can try and find it.
I'm
Sounds really
intrigued.
interesting.
But yeah. Well, you might
Let us
like those
know
books.
if you find out, Emily.
Yeah.
They're good.
Any history, any particularly Tudor history. That's my choice.
Yeah.
Have you read much historical fiction?
No.
No, I think you should give it a go.
Yeah, you should definitely give it a go.
I think I used to do it, but you see it and you're like, I'm overwhelmed already. Like, I don't know the history. It's going to be so long and detailed, but it's not. That books like this, and someone else has already done the work for you to make it easy to read. So, you know, just look at it like reading a fantasy, you know, but it was real. Just kind of extra cool, you know, you got the double layer.
Yeah.
So it would be like really hard to write a historical fiction book because you
Get
can
all
go
the facts wrong.
Yeah, if you can go wrong in so many places and you can get so many people coming onto you, that's not historically accurate.
You
Well, you
notice
have
a lot.
lots of evidence.
Yeah,
to do it
and
for
often
you.
people work with historians who will do.
Yeah, sometimes
You
there will
do
people,
that.
historians doing the research for you as well. But as Gregory and lots of other people say, that half the fun is the research, going back to the original sources,
Historical
manuscripts
research is
and the
really cool.
artifacts. So,
Yeah. So I think if you're going to write a historical fiction, you're someone that enjoys that probably.
Yeah.
So you're like happy to do it.
Yeah.
yeah.
It is cool.
It's, and there's so many different, so many different kinds. There's the kind that uses the original language. There's the kind that just uses the characters, and
there's so much
Brushes
information
them out.
online now. You know, you go to the V&A or whatever, and they've got everything they own on a collection website. You can look at everything. So there's
Yeah.
always information out there.
yeah. So
Yeah, maybe you guys should give some historical.
yeah,
Historical
because
fiction,
there's
yeah.
lots of young adult historical fiction as well.
There's loads.
Not just the sort of made-up diaries and things, but we've got other sorts of things as well, haven't we? Yeah. So lots of different categories.
That's my choice.
Yeah. Thank you very much. That's great. Okay, so I'll do mine. Finish
Yeah.
off. So mine's a sort of combination of historical fiction, but also a murder mystery. Now, this is a sort of genre that's come into being with an author called C.J. Sansom, who's done a series of mysteries set in Henry VIII's time, and his detective is a lawyer, and that goes right the way to the end of Henry VIII's reign, and we look at the dissolution of the monasteries. C.J. Paris, who I haven't read, but this one I picked up a couple of weeks ago, and this one is set in an era that I'm quite interested in, because I've always taught Chaucer. So it's 1377. So King Edward III is just dying, and we now have a boy king, Richard II, who eventually will be murdered by his cousin, and it's set in London, and it's set. Haven't got very far yet. It's set in the city, but it's also set in Southwark, the part where the Globe is now, and the detectives sort of come. I suppose he will be the detective, not yet, but he's helping out the coroner, who has to do sort of investigation into death, and he's called Athelstan, and he keeps saying, they keep calling him monk, and he says, no, I'm a friar, which means that he's supposed to be poverty in poorness, and also very sort of holy, and he hasn't been holy. He's gone out and fought in France, and he's suffering a lot with very bad dreams about his brother, because he persuaded his brother to go and fight alongside him, and brother died and he came home. So we've got a death at the moment, and so far I've had all sorts of nasty descriptions about London, because of course there was no sewage.
Yeah, it would have been pretty horrible.
Yeah, there was no laws really to look after things. Only one bridge. There's lots of crowds. It's beautifully described, and I'm looking forward to knowing more about the mystery. So it's called the Nightingale Gallery. I don't know what that's going to refer to, but certainly a character is involved that I am a son of Edward III, that I've long been interested in, John of Gaunt. first came across him in a Shakespeare play, but also in a book called Catherine, another historical fiction we have. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So sort of mixture of both.
Yeah.
Time
travel
mystery.
murder mystery.
Time travel murder mystery, that's right. And there's that wonderful picture of London as it used to be, with the great St Paul's that got burnt down, and just London Bridge, only London Bridge, no other bridges at all.
Can't even imagine, can you?
No.
One way in or out of London, or one bridge.
No.
Okay, well, I
Well,
don't
you
think,
could get boats,
but I
which
don't
were
think
quick.
you would have wanted to go in the
No.
Thames.
Yeah, the bodies.
There was
Everything,
everything.
you think of. Everything you think of. Yeah,
Floating horse.
Probably, yeah. Bit of everything.
it's yes, you would have to have no sense of, if you're going to survive, no sense of smell, no sense of anything really.
Just
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
Only way
So
to
it's a
get
reminder of, you think, sometimes you think, oh no, it's, life's not too good, but life's an awful lot better than it was.
maybe that's another reason why I like time traveling.
Yeah.
Traveling in books,
Yeah.
because you're like, oh,
Absolutely.
actually, it's
I'm
pretty nice
alright.
now. Things are pretty horrible
Yeah.
500 years ago.
Yeah, yeah, even 100 years
Grounds you a
ago.
little bit, yeah.
But yes, yeah, we're very lucky. So, yeah. So we've got lots of other comfort things on the road. We've got Eva Ibbotson, Journey to the River Sea. Have you read these two?
Yes.
You have.
And the new one, not by Eva Ibbotson, because she.
But is it a sequel?
Yeah, it is. It's written. I don't remember.
Was
who.
it Catherine Randall wrote that one?
Oh,
Someone wrote a sequel to someone else's book.
Yeah, it's Escape to
yeah, it
the.
happens all the time.
Escape to
Yeah, it's Escape to the River Sea. It's really nice. I don't know how it got sent to my house because weeks and weeks ago. This last year when I got it, I was trying to remember why I had this book. Just suddenly, no letter, nothing, no return address, and I was like, oh, I send emails. I always send emails to Week Junior, the book competition, and I've never won it. Like 5 years, I've never won it, and then suddenly a book arrives there, and I'm like,
I must have won.
Wow!
and I was like,
But there was nothing with it.
nothing. It
Not
was just
even
a book.
congratulations, you won.
They
or
didn't
anything.
email you? Nothing. It was just the book, and I was like,
How weird.
whoever it gave it to me, I have a book, and I read it, and
Just
it was
open the
really
door like, thanks, thank you. Well, there you go, free book.
good.
Yeah, lots of Sophie Hannah, for example. She's writing new Poirot stories.
Yes.
Because we haven't had a new one since the 1970s now, so obviously Agatha Christie is dead. But yes, and of course, when they do series on television, they quite often do news stories as well.
I think especially with someone like Agatha Christie, she's written so many books.
Yeah.
If you want to write like
Yeah, I
like
was
her,
looking
then
at that.
exactly.
Yes, exactly.
She's got such a backlog. You can kind of pick out how she does it and what she does, and try and kind of create your own version of that. So
Yeah.
I need to read more about Agatha Christie's books because they're so good.
they are good.
They are
She's
good.
that famous for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's another comfort read. Murder mystery for you. And it's kind of historical fiction now.
Yes.
because-
So we've got a massive library, haven't we, where we've got lots and lots of things to explore, lots of different genres to explore as well, different comfort reading, different worlds. We've got Northern Lights, and also the new ones as well. Historic Materials, Mortal Engines, Little Princess. Oh,
That's obviously a definite
a definite
comfort read.
comfort read.
Little Women.
Women,
I put that on there
definitely.
for
Yeah.
Emily.
Women.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
I think Little Women is one for a lot of people.
Yes. Paddington even.
We've got a lot of picture books downstairs as well, so
Yes.
that's definitely
Yeah.
can be a way to.
A way to explore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we wish you all the very best. Wish you the best luck, sweet girls, for your exams. Don't worry too much. Try not to get too
You'll
stressed.
be all right.
You'll be fine. So I'm sure you've done a lot of work and a lot of revision. So we won't be here next week, but hopefully the week after. Okay, so we'll say goodbye.
Isn't it half term?
Well,
It
we
is
guys
the
will
week
be back. So 2 weeks before we get back.
Yeah.
Bye everybody. Bye.
Bye.